Meeting to order on Monday, July 12th, 2021. Our agenda will be as follows. We'll have the call to order, approval of the agenda, pledge of allegiance, announcements, public hearings and ordinances, which we have a request to allow an outdoor carnival and concert event August 20 through 22nd, 2021. Then any agenda items, topics for members for discussion, and then the meeting will adjourn. Are there any revisions or changes to the agenda, or do I have a motion?
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
We have a motion and approval. Any public comment on the agenda? Seeing none, move to, all in favor? Any opposed? And the motion passes 3-0. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There are no announcements on the agenda, so we will move to public hearing and ordinances, which is a quasi-judicial public hearing. So we will go through the procedures for our quasi-judicial procedure. The procedure shall be as follows. The city attorney shall read into record the ordinance, resolution by title and number or the applicant's name, and the subject matter to be decided if there's no ordinance or resolution. The city attorney will explain the rules regarding testimony, that all public testimony will be taken under oath, and everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination, and that the giving of opinion is limited to experts. See, I'm explaining the order of presentation. So the presentation order is as follows. There will be a staff overview. Then the applicant will be able to present on their application. Then we'll hear the staff report and recommendation. If there's a third-party intervener, which none have declared, they would comment. Then there will be public comment. The applicant can cross-examine, the staff can cross-examine, and then the members of the decision-making body can ask questions of the staff, the applicant, and any participants. Final arguments are made by the applicant and then the staff, related solely to the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing and introduced into the record. The city attorney will advise us as to the applicable law and the factual findings, and then we'll deliberate. So at this time, if the city attorney will read into the record the ordinance, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. This is resolution number 2021-21, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Newberry, Florida, considering an application for a special temporary use permit to allow a carnival and concert event as authorized under section 14.10 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing approval of a special permit for temporary use on approximately 8.59 acres within a 260-acre parcel in Agriculture A zoning district as provided in section 4.4 of the certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Newberry, Florida. Tax parcel numbers 02515-004-000, 02515-004-001, and 02515-004-002, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. And Madam Chair, if anyone wishes to speak at this proceeding this evening, I can go ahead and swear them in now if you'd like. Brian, are you presenting, or Wendy? Okay. Is there anybody from the applicant's side that wishes to testify? Okay, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I know Wendy Kinzer. Your name, sir? Okay, good. And when you come to the podium, if you'll give your name and for the record, please. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and we can have our staff present now.
We're going to ask if anyone has any ex parte communication.
Good job.
Do any of the board members have any ex parte communication to disclose? I have none as well, so thank you very much, and we will hear from Wendy.
Good evening. Ready to go. So we've got a first item, and it's our special temporary use permit, and this is for an outdoor carnival and concert that's going to be held in August for that weekend. So a few of the main points we'll make, and then we'll let the applicant make their presentation, and then go ahead and conclude staff's recommendation presentation. So the application by Vivid Sky Vertical, who's the agent for Pat Post, who owns the property. The special permit is for a temporary use, which would be an outdoor event, carnival, and 2 concerts, one on Friday night and one on Saturday night. Alcohol is also to be served, and that's part of this permit under the alcohol license of Knock and Boot Saloon. It is on one of those parcels that Pat Post owns that's located on the southeast corner of State Road 26 and Gilchrist County Road. It's about a 216-acre overall piece of property, of which about 9 acres is going to be used for this site. Remember that this has been talked about in the past for using the mining area for concerts, but this is not where the concerts will be held for this one. That's still being worked on to be able to be used in the future. So at this point, this is the location of the property. You can see there on the southeast corner of that intersection. This gives you the overall view of the property. As a point of reference, I just want to point out, I'm going to go over here, but up here, in that area, right, that area is actually the one that was designated, so it's closer to the road, that was used for the Sister Hazel concert. So it was a little bit closer in, but it's this site where the parking is, and you've got the concert area and the food trucks. Everything's laid out on that site plan. But I'll let the applicant go through and make their presentation, and then come back up and conclude our staff report.
Good evening. I'm Eric Lenespont. I represent Vivid Sky Vertical. I don't have any fancy visuals for you guys or anything, but everything I have, you guys have there. So would you like me to just run through the overview and then, okay. So basically what we're proposing is a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday carnival. And so that's very much, think county fair without the animals. So we have, we're partnering with Florida Rides and More, which is a licensed carnival company. They carry all the insurance, everything like that, which they would name the city and us as insured. They're going to bring between 12 and 15 rides, I think hurler and Ferris wheel and those type of things. Good family, full family fun. We're also going to do some water slides as well, is what we're planning to the side of that, because it is during the summer. So we're anticipating we want to offer opportunities for people to cool down and be able to enjoy the time out there. So that's kind of what you see. If you look in the green carnival area, that's a it's a bigger area probably than we will use, but that's kind of the area we're going to fence off and designate as the carnival area. And then the blue area to the side is where we'll have some water slides. We're working with Mr. Post. That seems like the best runoff and everything on the property there too, on laying that out. We'll have there's a big 30 by 90 tent, again offering some shade as well as a place for people to eat their food and beverage and that sort of thing. Between the carnival area and then the secondary area that's fenced off is we're creating a midway. So again, think, big state fair, anything like that. So that'll be where our food truck vendors will be, as well as drink service and all that through there. So people will come in down the road. We plan to work with Travis and the city. Hopefully, will work with us on the actual initial traffic flow and plan, and we're going to emulate the previous events that were successful there on keeping people off the road, queuing people up. They'll come down and around and then back up to the parking area. So we have a nice little flow that provides, we should be able to get over 100 cars off the road at a time before we're even queuing up to park. So we've got a nice long runway there. People will park. We have site lighting with generators throughout the parking area as well as the carnival area for the evening time for safety. And then we will send people back around kind of down the side of the road, and they'll enter through the midway. What that does for us too is it allows us to have one point of security check, bag check, anything like that. We typically don't allow bags, but since we have the water element, we are going to allow some limited things so people have a change of clothes, and we will have a tented, closed off, secure changing area as well for them. That'll all be kind of on the other side. So as they come in, that's also where they will, if they would like to partake in alcohol, that's where they would get ID'd. Our bartenders do not ID at the bar unless there's suspicion, but we have our security staff that is trained. It's actually, we typically pull from our bar's staff that does it every night at Knock and Boot Saloon. And so that's where they would get a specific 21 and up wristband if they would like that. That if someone for some reason does not have that wristband, they will be sent back to that booth, not carded at that. And that's one of the ways that we curtail, people trying to fake ID and different things like that. If catching a busy bartender, we send them back to the security checkpoint. So if you like to drink, you get that. It will be on a separate arm than your actual entrance one, and it's a separate color indicated as well. So kind of some nice clear indicators for our beer tents to be able to determine and avoid underage drinking or any of those type of problems. So they'll come through there, the security checkpoint. That's basically will serve as a box office as well as the screening point for of age. And then we'll come in, and during the daytime, the concert area will actually be closed off. So that area is fenced, and that will be closed and not open until, I believe our doors are at 5 o'clock for the concert. Both evenings, Friday and Saturday, we have a concert planned. Sunday will just be carnival, so that'll be very low-key. I'm not expecting a huge crowd Sunday necessarily, but since we're there, we're going to leave it up and provide more opportunities for the community to enjoy it. But that will basically, the concert will be, that area will be open from 5 to 10 p.m. on Friday evening, 5 to 10 p.m. on Saturday evening. We do plan to, providing approval from you all as well as the City Commission, we would like to do fireworks on Saturday night at 10 p.m. Our goal with those, again, we try to, any event that we do, we try to be a good neighbor, good community member. We are definitely not here to upset folks with volume and explosions and things like that. So we try to get that wrapped up. The concert should be wrapped up by 10 o'clock. We do intend to keep the carnival side open until 11 and kind of to also allow some trickle out if people want to ride another ride or two. We anticipate most people will clear out around 10 though. And we are planning to, the carnival hours will be a little longer than that. On Friday, we want to open at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's kind of the after-school evening dinner crowd as well. And then the carnival will also be open during the concert time, during that period as well. So folks can opt to go just to the carnival if you want to take just your family and you want to go just ride rides, or if you just want to come to the concert, there's a couple different options for folks as well. We do plan to open the carnival on Saturday at 11 a.m., and then that would be open all day until 11 p.m. And then Sunday, we are looking at, we've played with a few different things, but I think we're looking at 11 to 5 p.m., and then the cleanup would ensue. We do not expect the carnival to be something you could even hear at the road. It's all, ice cream truck style stuff going on. There will be some background music. We'll have a little bit of music, acoustic music in the tent, but that's none of that you would even hear at the road, much less off property or anything. So the carnival hours are a little different in that respect. We did opt to move the concert area back a little bit. We feel that between the tree line buffer there and the tree line buffer on the other side and the sheer distance, that's going to provide us a much better kind of nook that where we should not experience any sound complaint issues or anything like that. But I think that's the general gist of it. It is I can't speak to the artists or anything like that we have offers in on at this time because we're waiting for approval here before we can move forward with those 100%. But we are talking to some country acts that you've heard of and things like that, and so we're hoping to have a really good event for Newberry here.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll ask questions a little bit later on, and we'll move to the staff report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Made a few notes, so I make sure that I have those for as we go through this. So the next slide, if we have one. All right, so in the application, as we said, we specified this information. We have shown that on that site in the past, when under the previous permits that were issued and discussed, the capacity for that site is about 29,000 ultimately. This time they're anticipating 3,000 to 6,000 people to attend. The way the resolution is written at this time, it has provision for one 3-day event, that there would be 2 concert events from 6 p.m. to 10:30. So if we need to change that to 5 p.m., that's something that we need to do as a part of the recommendation, and then as part of the recommendation to the City Commission. So the 10:30 time is based on in the past, when past permits were considered and we talked about 10 o'clock as an ending time, and instead we said it was thought to do 10:30 so that there wouldn't be any problems. That was, I think, what the Commission determined last time. So that's why the 10:30 time is used. It could be 10 if decided. No music activity, though, after 10:30. Carnival rides by Friday through Sunday, as you said, with a 3-day setup period prior to the event and 2-day cleanup after. The application also, as the applicant discussed, that there's food and beverage vendors. The alcohol sales would be under the Knock and Boot Saloon alcohol license with a serving procedure that they have provided as an example. Concert memorabilia would be sold, possibly, and no overnight camping or no open fires. You have a site plan. They do have an operations and emergency plan, and facility placement location plan that they're working with the fire department on and with the ASO. So the application does have typical operating procedures included, and that's what he was describing. Eric was describing with the how they do it with carding or not carding, but having to make sure that they're not serving underage. This is the description that was in your packet that goes through an example of how they would handle those alcohol issuance of those kinds of drinks and making sure that they're compliant and over 21. And the next slide gives you the crowd control plan as an example that they were provided as well, and how they handle concerts when you have different entrances and exits, and the security staff that they typically have and how they do their actual control, that they do have bonded and insured people that are actually working with the security, and they do hire EMS. The land development regulations that apply to this in your packet also deal with temporary use permits or special permits for temporary uses, and that's for carnivals and outdoor concerts, similar uses. You do have different standards of evidence for these are temporary permits rather than a special exception, as was talked about eventually. If all goes well with events as they're held at this location, then you would make it a more permanent facility. The code section that deals with alcohol sales, remember that the commission has to issue a permit based on them having their alcohol license in order to have alcohol sales and consumption at this special event. So consideration of temporary use permits involves consideration, looking at the different types of criteria, the nuisance hazard, whether the traffic is an issue, parking, specific time period, and looking at appropriate conditions and safeguards. And these are the things that you make findings about, and then also add conditions that control that particular development. So in looking at that, the recommendation goes through in your packet that has a resolution, and it says that based on the testimony provided today and the information that you've been provided, and looking at the past permits as well and the documentation that you have, that's where these findings come from. And they are based on that the nuisance hazardous feature, that it would not be affecting the adjacent uses, and that it's kept suitably separate. And the planning and zoning is making these findings to say that the details provided do show that this could be handled appropriately, as well as to look at the last year's concert with Sister Hazel is a good example of how that was handled, and it was successful. Then we look at the traffic and how that's handled, that there's the excessive vehicular traffic would not be on a problem with State Road 26 because you have security handling and ASO out there, and the way that you can get the traffic off the site, off the road and onto the site. The parking being handled a specific time period. We would go through and revise these if you make a decision to make something different in the recommendation, to change the times a bit and to add times as well. Conditions of that permit deal with who it's issued to, Vivid Sky Vertical, and the time frame for that permit, where the entrance would be, the permitted uses, that it's a one-time event, the dates for that music would not go past 10:30, and that a carnival would be operated, and that production, getting ready for the actual concert, and the carnival would happen up to 3 days prior, with 2 days after, as we stated. So we went through those originally when we talked about this. Then the conditions also address that this has to be consistent with the attached site plan, that the applicant has to maintain an up-to-date operations and emergency plan, and as outlined in that plan, they have no open fires permitted. Temporary structures in excess of 120 feet would have to comply with our code and get permits. Any assembly-style tents, same thing, they have to comply and get inspected and permitted. The applicant and participants would have to adhere to all of those regulations, as well as with the alcohol permit being issued as part of this, to allow that in accordance to their procedure for handling the participants, so that they're not, and the attendees, so that they're not giving alcohol to those under age, and in compliance with the alcohol license. And the signage also, that any signage that they have on their site for this would also be removed after the event. The recommendation of staff is for you to recommend to the City Commission that you approve the resolution for the application with findings and conditions, with an additional condition that we were thinking to specify the carnival hours, which sound like Friday from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then you'd want to consider the concert hours as well. So if you have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them. We'll discuss as quick as we can go, and still, I know that you've read through the packets, but if you do have questions, we can refer to specifics in there too.
Thank you very much. We have no third-party interveners, so at this time, if there are any public comments on this issue, the public can come up to the podium. Seeing none, the applicant can cross-examine staff if they choose. Staff can cross-examine if you choose. And at this time, members of the Planning and Zoning Board can ask any questions they have.
So cleanup period is 2 days, 8 p.m. Tuesday. One of the biggest problems we've had carnivals is that they're done on Tuesday, but their next event is Friday. They have no place to go, and they need some place to be. A lot of times they hang out, and that's when we have problems with them. Is there anything in there that specifically says all carnival workers and equipment have to be off the premises by Tuesday, 8 p.m.?
You can certainly make it very clear with that if everything has to be cleaned up and removed and gone.
Is that the
That time.
applicant's plan?
By Tuesday at 8 p.m.
We can make that clear with Florida Carnivals and More. We are handling first on the concert side, and that will be done.
You have to.
Sorry.
Please, it's okay.
You might want to just sit there for a few minutes.
Okay, sure.
That kind of you get
I got you. So Florida Carnivals and More is doing the carnival portion, and we can certainly communicate that to them, that that's the requirement for them to be off by that time. I had not set the load out schedule with them yet, but I'm sure we can accommodate that. I can speak for the concert side for sure. That will be cleared out. Really, we'll be clearing that out Sunday and into Monday, so it should not be a problem.
That's all I have.
Question on the, well, no. So in regards to the water slide, is this who will be providing the water slide? Is this the carnival or is this?
Yeah, so it's, the company is Florida Carnival, and I'll get to the exact, but.
No, yeah, is it the
They
carnival?
supply it as well, and then a large part of that for us is the liability insurance and everything is through the carnival. But that is part of their offerings as a ride provider. They do several of the fairs around the state and things like that.
Okay, and in regards to the fireworks?
The fireworks, we are looking at Orlando Special Effects, who I've worked with several times. They're a licensed pyrotechnic. They will actually, typically what I do is once we get approval to actually move forward with fireworks, they will work with the fire chief here and submit the proper permits with the city. We are actually typically hands-off on that portion because I'm not a fireworks professional, so they'll work directly with the fire chief, provide a site plan, again, insurance, all that stuff as well.
All right, and Madam Chair, I think this is more for our city attorney to ask on this, if I may. In regards to the insurance, they have a blanket endorsement that's for blanket manager, landlords, sponsors, or lessors. My concern is if they're saying that they're gonna add the city of Newberry as an additional insured, that doesn't seem that it would be covered under that blanket endorsement unless you state otherwise, you feel that it would. Because I've seen different blanket endorsements languages, and I feel like the city of, if they have a blanket, the city would be part. Something would say municipal or county or cities would be included, so I don't know if they need a separate endorsement to ensure that the city is covered.
Can you, this is Naeem's area of expertise, so if you can check with your insurance agent and make sure that the city is covered with that blanket endorsement?
We absolutely can, yeah.
Because Pat Post is covered because he's the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord, the manager of this, so you guys are covered as an additional insured. However, what concerns me is they're saying that the city of Newberry is going to be considered an additional insured, but that endorsement doesn't clarify municipals as being part of that blanket coverage. So if we can find out about that, and then the other concern is the liquor liability. Will that fall back? Because there's a liquor liability exclusion on the insurance policy that I've read, but that's for the carnival. How would that affect that? Because the concert's going to be selling alcohol, but I'm pretty sure alcohol is going to be carried through the carnival.
Yeah, so.
How is that liability going to?
Yeah, so Knockin' Boots Saloon has catering insurance, basically.
Okay,
So that will be a separate policy, and we would be happy to name, the city of Newberry on those policies as well. But yeah, the liquor liability, we have a catering license that allows us to endorse off-site events as well.
Perfect, because the insurance we received was the carnivals.
Correct, yeah.
So, and then I see this excluded word for liquor liability, and I'm like, wait a minute, who's going to be carrying the liquor?
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's not on the carnival to provide that. That's on us at Knockin' Boots to provide that. So we'll provide that for you.
Perfect, thank you.
And I can discuss whatever wording the city needs. I can take that to the carnival and the insurance agent, and we'll do everything we can. That's typically not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just my scare is, we have saying that we're going to be covered, but the language is not there, and it's,
Gotcha. Yep.
that's all I have. Thank you.
And I have one question for you and one question for city staff. So, in our packet, there was a copy of your liquor license and a blue screen, which I blew up on my computer, and I just want to make sure that it is the case that your liquor license expires in September of 2021.
Gotcha. Okay. When does it say it expires in? I'm
So
not sure
the
what
one
we're
that
looking
is
at.
pictured in our packet,
It says 2020.
it says 2020. So I want to make sure that your liquor license is actually.
It is current, and I can
Okay.
provide that for
And
you. It's
and the
hanging
little
in the bar right
blue-
now.
It says that, I was making sure it did, so.
I think that was we were finishing the packet in a hurry, and we grabbed the one that we had quickly. But yes, we are.
That's fine. Just wanna
I
make
assure
sure.
you, we're in Alachua County. We are operating nightly as a venue and a bar,
Okay, thank you very much.
and I'm happy to update it for you.
Okay. Yes, sir. I have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said one. No, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I do have questions for you, so while city staff is figuring out. I just want to make sure I understand the timeline. So
Yes, sir.
carnival during the day, concert at night. In your ideal world, concert music ends at 10 p.m. And then there's a fireworks show. How long is the fireworks show? Fireworks from 10 to 10:30?
No, it'll be about a 10-minute show, 10 to
10-minute
12
show.
minutes. That's about all we can afford.
Sure, yeah. And then the
Fireworks
carnival itself would continue till 11, but you
Correct.
anticipate people sort of trickling out after the concert?
Correct, yeah.
And my other question is, when it comes to the alcohol sales, is it like Board Member Naeem suggested, where I buy alcohol and I can go anywhere in the carnival with it, or is there an area where I have to stay with the alcohol?
So you do have to stay within the perimeter of the entire event,
Okay.
yes. And so if you leave, you cannot leave with alcohol, just like if you left any bar or venue, you typically cannot walk out with your drink. But we also limit reentry to the concert area. So the carnival, obviously, people can go back to their cars and get different things and things like that. But for the concert area, for multiple safety reasons, we limit people leaving and coming back
Okay.
repeatedly.
And I bought staff as much time as I could to answer that question before Chair's question.
Go ahead. Yeah, just to add on to his, so you said that alcohol won't be allowed after a certain, like leaving the location.
Correct.
To be very nice, is there gonna be a sign that's gonna tell people that don't realize they can't take alcohol outside the venue? Is there gonna be some
Yes.
sort of sign that says no alcohol past this point?
Yes.
Because our fear is someone's like, I'm gonna walk a beer right into Newberry Road.
Yes, absolutely. And and we'll also, we haven't discussed the exact time internally, but we also typically cut off.
Okay.
We don't go all the way to 11 necessarily, or we scale back greatly. So, again, I haven't discussed that internally with my team, so I can't say the exact time, but we typically don't serve all the way up until the last moment, because then you get
Yeah.
problems that way.
All right.
We do plan to have the entire area fenced. Some of it will not be as, it's not going to all be 6-foot fence necessarily, but we'll have snow fence and things like barriers, so folks funnel through our areas that are secure with security.
One more question. I saw your security and ASO.
Mhm.
What about your parking crew? In your mind, is the security the same thing as parking, or you got a separate parking crew that makes sure people are up off the road and parking in?
No, we will have, so we hire typically, we contract out the security to a licensed and bonded security company for our concerts, anything off of our bar site. So we would have different parking staff there. We also will have event staff, so non-security, but just event staff that can be helpful, direct people, that sort of thing. So we will have separate parking staff as well. We do plan to work with the city staff as well and hire the city staff to help direct some of that, because Travis and his team have had great experience and kind of have a great plan already. So if they are available and interested, we will also be hiring the city to help us with some of that traffic flow as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question for city staff about the parking, not parking, but the traffic pattern, I guess would be the term. Is this similar to what it was for Sister Hazel, the ingress, egress, and parking area?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was easy. Okay, at this time, any final arguments can be made by the applicant? Okay, and by the staff? And seeing none, the city attorney will advise us on the applicable law and factual findings.
Substantial and competent evidence, Madam Chair.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion on this.
Madam Chair,
Need a motion, not deliberation.
Madam Chair, I move that Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City Commission the approval of Resolution 2021-21 with this following conditions. One, that we specify the times of the carnival, the fireworks, and the concert. Two, that we specify that we show that Newberry is considered an other insured. And three, that they provide a current liquor license.
a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any deliberations on this matter?
Is there a time frame that the city would be provided that information for? Before the commission?
And does it come forth before the commission right after this meeting?
Is it right after this meeting? I had it in my head.
I think it's the
for a
right
different date. Yeah.
Okay, you got,
One?
you got 20 minutes.
I mean, I think you could probably do a couple of those in 20 minutes.
Insurance, obviously, we have to get
Yeah.
it from the agent and all that. I can get a copy of her liquor license. Sorry?
And while he's coming to the microphone, we have in the past said that we would give staff the authority before the event. If they haven't provided it before the event, we pull the rug out from under you, you know, and I think. we
It can
do
be
something like
contingent
that.
on that, that's exactly right.
These, I could have these things for you by end of business tomorrow.
So does it, Scott, does that have to be said in the motion, the contingency?
I think it's implicit
Okay.
in Bill's motion, yes.
I just want to buy a wristband for the final one.
Are there any further deliberations on this item? Yeah. Does the public have any comment on the matter before the board right now? Seeing none, we will take a vote on the motion. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? And the motion passes 3-0. And that concludes our quasi-judicial hearing portion of this meeting. There are no agenda items. Now we move to topics for members for discussion. Board Member Conrad.
Yes, as many of you know, I put my house up for sale a couple of weeks ago, and it sold the first day, so I'm having to move out much quicker than I expected the first week in August. So this is really the last meeting that I will be legally allowed to be a member of Planning and Zoning. So it's with great sadness that I say that I have to leave this group, but I've enjoyed working with all of you, Scott, with you over the last 15 years, and Planning and Zoning for the last 5 or 6 years. It's been a great ride. I've learned a lot, and thank you for your friendship and putting up with me at the meetings. That's it.
Board Member Urched.
I want to express my gratitude to Bill Conrad and your time, and definitely will be missed, and the knowledge that you provided. Hopefully you come and visit. Maybe not the meeting, but I don't know.
We'll still have all our same friendships. We're only going an hour away, so we won't be out of it.
But other than that, happy birthday to all those birthdays in July, including myself and Scott.
I just want to add to that, Mayor. It's been great. You've been a mentor to me over the years, and it's very rare to have somebody who just has a heart for community service and is willing to sit up here as commissioner, come back as a P&Z member, and just wants to give and all the work that you've done on the FMPA on our citizens' behalf, and it really has paid off. I think we all see that when we open up those electric bills and remember what it was 15 years ago. So thank you for your service, and we wish you well. An hour away. And anytime you want to come to Newberry, I'll buy you a glass of water at any establishment here.
I want to echo my appreciation. You definitely helped me understand the city better before I was on Planning and Zoning and afterwards. So I really appreciate the assistance and mentoring you did. And thank you very much for the time you've served up here. Any comments?
Well, it's bittersweet to hear this news, but my belief is, and my bet is, that grandkids will benefit as a result of this decision that you're making. So I completely understand that and support it, and your family's the better for it. So my hat's off to you, Bill, and have appreciated the many years that we've been together. Yeah.
and we're only a YouTube away. You could watch us any Monday night. And with that, this special planning and zoning meeting is adjourned.